Dr. Sanchez.
Dr. Wilson, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
So I guess we're both kind of here for the same thing, these prunes in Pakistan.
Right. Yeah, the reason why I called this little meeting to order here is I knew you were another buyer in the Pakistani prune industry, and I kind of thought we could meet here and discuss the situation about this scarce resource.
Okay.
So, I just had a couple things I wanted to ask you. What was your main reason for purchasing into this resource?
What my company is looking to do, and why we're so interested in it, is we're developing a medicine for people who are at risk of having high cholesterol or have high cholesterol.
Okay.
So basically, the pulp or the meat of the prune, we can use that and we can genetically modify it to help upwards or more than 20,000 people with their high cholesterol. So we feel there's a very good public service reason. We're not trying to profit without helping people.
So you're not just getting it for your own well-being, is what you're
right.
saying.
Right. We're getting it in the interest of trying to help these people with their high cholesterol. Hopefully, doing more research, seeing if we could replicate this in a lab. So we're trying to help as many people as we can.
Sure.
And so I guess with you being from the organization that you are, with you being from the UN, I was kind of wondering the same thing. I was wondering why you guys wanted the prunes, because I feel like maybe we could both benefit out of this, or maybe we could see what gets the greater good.
Okay. Well, likewise, I am also here for the greater good of people. I know you said yourself you're here to benefit people with medical reasons, but I am here to benefit people on more of a starvation factor.
Okay.
So basically what my company does, I work for the United Nations, the United Nations Committee of World Hunger. So basically I am here to get a resource out of the prune that comes from the pit, actually. And basically what we can do is we can genetically modify this pit where we can, make it so plants can thrive without as much water as they can.
Okay, let me stop you real quick.
Right.
So you only need the pits?
Yes, I only need the pits. And from what I gathered from you is you were actually just looking for the meat or the pulp of the...
Correct. We're more interested in the actual meat.
Okay.
From what my scientists are, yeah. So I think if everything works out well, I would rather work together on this.
I mean, if we're both trying to serve the greater good of people, I mean, I know you said that you could serve 20,000 people.
Correct.
Just from this one harvest. See, myself, I could also serve an extra 20,000 people from this one harvest. And considering we both need different things out of one thing, maybe we can work together on this and serve a greater amount of people than we did before.
Okay. So let's try and figure that out. I would rather work with you guys than try to outbid you. That doesn't seem fun.
Now I know you said something about your research. I don't know if that's something that you would like to talk about, or how far you're out with a different kind of research in the situation.
Well, it looks like we are. My scientists are telling me we're 5 years away from getting this tree to grow in other parts of the world.
Okay.
So for the next 5 years at least, these are the only trees. These are the only way we can get these prunes is from that region of Pakistan. They've also said to me that they're at least 10 years away from creating the synthetic version of the pulp. So we'll need the trees for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Whether that be in other parts of the world or whether they stay there.
I'm also in the same type of situation as yourself. I know we have this issue of the harvest for this year, but maybe if a business deal goes smoothly in this kind of situation, maybe we can look at researching together and try to benefit the whole good, more of a larger perspective than what we're doing now.
Definitely.
But getting back to this perspective of this harvest, the research that I gathered, I came to the conclusion that we're two of the major buyers of this prune.
Okay.
So like you said, we can work together, and instead of competing against one another, maybe we can just put 1 one solid bid out there for this, just try to get it for both of us without having to, bid up each other and spend to our, maximum amount of what we can spend.
Okay, so what you're saying is if we buy as one group, maybe get that sort of a quantity discount for them, and then split them up. We'll split them up instead of having them split them up and we buy them each individually.
Right. Or instead of me placing a bid and then ultimately you have to place a bid higher, we can just get a bid lower from what what I would even bid for instance.
Okay. I'm certainly open to that. That sounds like that would save both of us some money.
Okay.
I guess I do need to get them back here somehow. Where are your facility? Where do you need to do your research? Because my company is in San Jose, and I would highly doubt that we would be doing the research anywhere other than there.
Okay, well, right now the United Nations has 193 member states.
Okay.
So basically, we're on the whole world. So I have a lot of resources and assets, such as transportation, plane.
Okay.
I have roadway transportation, and I have sea transportation. So I can definitely handle the transportation aspect of this prunes to wherever it needs to go.
Okay.
But in return, I was kind of thinking, if I'm going to be spending this money and my assets and my resources and my knowledge to get the transportation down, I'm going to need some kind of a reduction other than 50 for 50 percentage of the prunes.
Okay.
Basically saying that I don't think I should have to pay the 50% of this prune harvest.
Okay, that I can see that. That sounds fair. If you're willing to take on transportation, and drop them off at our doorstep or what have you.
Right.
Obviously, I'm open and willing to compensate you
Okay.
for that. I guess. Is there anything else that you think we need to discuss before we figure out how much what our bid would be, and then how we would like to split those costs?
Well, I guess one more thing that we have to discuss is, since you need the pulp out of the prunes and I need the pits out of the prunes, we're going to have to figure out some kind of a processing situation where we have to, I get them from Pakistan, I send them to this processing, and then I ship you the pulp, and I take the pits out of it. So, I mean,
I actually see an opportunity there. If you were able to ship me the prunes just whole, like they come off the tree, and I processed them and gave you back the pits, I don't know exactly what those costs are as far as processing versus transportation, but I would imagine they're somewhat similar, hopefully. So we might have to do a little bit of research, but tentatively, would you be willing to say, I'll trade you, or roughly trade you, the processing? If you were to transport them to my facility, I'll process them for you.
Okay. Do you have the abilities at your facilities to process these prunes?
Yes, we do.
You have the ability to process these prunes. Okay. Because then the other idea that I had is somewhere on the other side of the world, if we do find another processor over there, we could 50-50 split the processing fee. I send you the pulp over, which would be a lot less heavy in container ships, ultimately resulting in the transportation being a lot quicker because it can get over in less amount of containers.
Okay, so you could send me just the straight mash, is what you're saying?
Right. We could just have them processed.
Okay.
And then we could have them sent over.
Okay, so you would handle transportation and processing.
Right, but I guess those are two different fees that we'll have to figure out after we get our negotiation done, which would be a cheaper route for us to go.
Right.
Either have you process them on your end, or 50-50 jointly.
Well, I would assume in overall cost, I would assume that your version would be a little bit less, simply because we're not shipping them from Pakistan to California back to wherever your processing center is.
Right.
So I would assume that it would be cheaper to do it that way. We can
Okay.
research that a little bit more.
Right.
But let's plan on
With
that.
the 50-50 split of the processing fees.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So transportation, we have that figured out. Processing. So now I guess it just gets back to figuring out what kind of bid that we want to put in on this whole prune situation for the harvest. So, I did have an amount of money that I was coming into the situation with, and I figured that, we were the two biggest major purchasers of these prunes. So I don't know how you feel about the situation, but I feel like a joint venture of $1.5 million might be the way to go. I don't know if you feel like that's too little or too much, but I feel like that's a good starting point we could put a bid in at.
When you say the 1.5, is that 750,000 coming from each of us, or is that 1.5 coming from each of us?
So that would go back to the transportation. So I figure, if I'm taking care of the transportation, considering, I'm going to have to, get them picked up in Pakistan, travel by road, I'm going to have to get the insurance on them, I'm going to have to figure out how to ship them over here. I'm thinking about a 70% on your end and a 30% on my end.
Okay, so I would pay 70% of the bid.
Right.
And you would pay 30%. You would get all the pits.
I will take all the pits and I will ship you over all your bulk. So I don't know how you feel about 30% on my end.
Do you have a calculator?
I do. I believe 30% is roughly, on $1.5 million, is roughly $450,000, excuse me. But I will check that for you, sir. Yep, that is $450,000, which is that, and then the other.
Mine would be $1,050,000. Okay. Not. Not undoable. Would you be able to, for the sake of simplicity, even, would you be able to put up 500,000 and I'll put up the million? And that way we come to a total of 1.5 million.
Let me just check that out for you. That'd be 33% roughly on my end. I believe simplicity-wise, I can definitely do that 33%, adding $500,000 on my end. So $500,000 on my end, $1 million on your end. We can put this bid in.
Yeah, you get all the pits, I will receive all the mash.
I'll ship it over to you.
Okay.
And then we'll split the processing fees.
Okay. Okay, split the processing fees.
Then one more thing to talk about. I know you said you're 5 years out on your research. I as well am 5 years out on my research. So I don't know if this is something that you want to go into, but we could try to talk to the Pakistani farm and see if we can get some kind of a stern contract for we can get the long term for, I think the prunes, they grow once every year. We can harvest them once every year. So if we can get, 3 more years of harvest, I feel like that would take us far more into our 5-year contract with our research.
Okay.
It would be more beneficial.
Well, you're saying every year. I have here they bear fruit once every 2 years.
Once every 2 years, yep.
Right. It sounds like they've given us both the same information here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that as well, correct?
Right. Yep. Correct.
Okay. So once every 2 years.
Once every 2 years.
So, yeah, maybe in our bid we could include something like a lowering bid for the next few years. We could guarantee them.
Or we can guarantee them that we will purchase their harvest every year.
Right.
Up until that point where, our research comes through.
Right. Maybe we can say we'll give you, if you can do it, we'll guarantee you 1.5 for
the next years.
For the next how many years harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, without them here to really discuss that, that's kind of up in the air.
That's up in the air. I just wanted to get this, main negotiation down, how we, could maybe,
I
figure
guess
out the situation.
I would be interested in that if if it helped us to achieve a lower cost,
Okay.
in the future, if it was overall lower, this has actually worked out really well. I thought
Most definitely.
I thought I would have to either bid or be outbid by
against
you,
exactly.
right? But the fact that we can get both the pits and the pulp, and each of us needs one, helps out a lot.
So I don't know if this business deal goes well this first year. We can also think about looking into our research together,
Yeah,
and
stuff
seeing
like
if
that.
we can excel each other's research, help more people.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something that we could maybe think about, and see how this first business deal goes, of course, and if it goes smoothly, and
Okay.
we enjoy working together. It's also something we can think about.
So let's go through this. I'll put up $1 million,
Okay.
and that is, what'd you say? That will be 67%.
Yep, 67%. Out of the 500,000, that's roughly 33%.
33%. Okay, and then we were going to split the processing costs.
Split the processing
Do you
costs.
have any? Has anybody given you an idea of what those might be?
Off the top of my head, I don't really know what the processing fees would be
Okay.
for this certain situation.
Okay.
So I couldn't really give you that right away. So that's just going to be having something that we're going to have to look into, just considering we already made this, negotiation about the different prices, how we're going to split things up. So I mean, we can just put there, it's going to be like a 50-50 split of the processing fees,
Right.
if there would be any. And then as far as the transportation, I will take care of transportation over to your company in the United States.
Okay. You and I will take transportation. Is your, I guess, the only real question? Well, it shouldn't matter. I was going to ask you, how reliable is that transportation? Whether containers will go missing. I guess I was thinking of it incorrectly, because I was thinking of receiving prunes that were not up to par. But
Right. Well, I mean, I have access to many assets. Like I said, the UN is part of 193 member states, so I will do everything in my power to find the best assets to transport the prunes over.
Yeah.
Considering it's in both of our best interests.
Right.
I'm not going to send you, willingly bad prunes, because considering we are under a mutual agreement of how this price is going to be split up.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about it in the wrong way. I was thinking about, picking up prunes from the supermarket. You wouldn't want prunes with a bruise on
Right,
them,
most
but
definitely.
we're not doing anything like that.
Exactly.
So, all right, so I'll put up $1 million. You guys put up 500,000. 50-50 to split the processing. You guys will transport them over to us.
That's right.
Do we know if that will be enough to win the bid? Do you think that'll for sure be enough? Should we have a contingency bid, or I guess, if you're okay with it, I'd be all right to stick with these percentages, whatever the necessary bid is.
Right, yeah, I feel like whatever the necessary bid is, we could go up to that amount.
Okay.
I would say, I mean, if it gets to the bid where, it's, upwards of $7 million, I feel like that's way too high.
Okay.
$7 million, between the both of us is definitely way too high, or way out of my price range of what I was looking to spend.
Yeah, that's also out of my price range.
So,
So I figure, as long as we can do it, as long as they'll let them buy it, or they'll let us buy the prunes for less than 4 or 5 million,
right, yeah, most
then
definitely.
the percentages should be okay,
Yep,
and we should both be able to cover that.
Sounds good.
So I guess, yeah, if
It's definitely something I can talk to my secretary, draft up a contract with her,
okay,
and I can get it sent over to your office in California, correct?
okay, yep, San Jose.
Perfect.
I think that's all we have to talk about. I
believe
guess
it is.
Yeah, I guess the next thing is let's stay in touch and work on how we can best bid this.
Yep, we'll
to get it
look
going.
at the bids, and we'll talk to Pakistani area, and we can get the prunes taken care of.
Well, sounds very good, sir.
Awesome.
Good to work
Thank you
with
very much, Doctor.
Thank you.